This is the Zone 1 podcast for a premium travel experience. The Zone 1 podcast brings you incredible travel opportunities and excursions through networktravel.ca. The Zone 1 podcast features the legendary Jackie Rae Greening, Rick MacSwain from Network Travel, and I'm your host, Terry Evans. Welcome again to another terrific episode of the Zone 1 podcast with networktravel.ca. Hello, Rick. Hello, Jackie Rae. Nice to see you both again.
Hello, Terry.
I'm very excited about today's episode because we're talking about someplace that I have always wanted to go to, but I've only ever been to the Tokyo airport. We touched on it briefly during our last podcast, and I ate the seaweed chips. I would have given my eye teeth for just a bag of salt and vinegar, but there was some sort of seaweed chip concoction there in the airport, and I had to power through it. It was not enjoyable.
You ate the whole bag?
I don't think I did. I think I may have left it on the tray, but I also seem to recall that those chips and a can of Coke or something like that were somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 US or something. It was, airport. You know, you're going to pay more at an airport, and I don't know, maybe they saw me coming.
I think so.
That might have been it too. Japan is been on my bucket list for years and years. I mean, there's been always the romance of seeing it in movies and everything from James Bond to war movies and that sort of thing. And of course, the history of Japan, the land of the rising sun. There's so much to see there.
Well, and I think the thing that people remember most about Japan, or at least hear most about Japan, is how clean it is and how organized and strict it is. So when you go there, you don't realize, until you're there, that these people, I've never been in a country where we were walking down the street and this lady was dressed up. She stops and she picked up a piece of garbage and put it in her purse.
And actually, you take your own garbage home, don't you? If you generate any garbage, there's no garbage cans out on the roadways, right? You got to take it home.
No garbage cans anywhere. And but it's really bizarre to see people pick garbage up that just like a wrapper or something. They'll pick it up and put it in their pocket or something and take it home with them. It's just really bizarre culture, but it's very, very neat.
My daughter was in Singapore about a year ago, or is it 2 years now? It doesn't matter. But she said that Singapore also was remarkably clean and people also acted in the same manner. It's probably a pride of home, a pride of country, a pride of cleanliness, of the city too, that goes without saying. Maybe they just don't have enough Tim Hortons over there where they can throw their garbage out the car window on their way to work.
Yeah. And I doubt is there any drive-thrus there? I'm trying to think. I doubt it.
Well, you can buy anything in a vending machine there, including a car. You can buy a car in a vending machine.
I know you can buy wine.
You can buy wine.
Not that I've ever tried it.
Chilled wine in a vending machine.
It wasn't good.
Well, I guess it's not a very good idea to buy a car and then buy wine out of the vending machine if they're side by side.
Or the other way around's bad too, actually.
Yeah, so I've heard of some other strange things that you can buy out of vending machines, but we're trying to at least keep this PG-13. So you have both been to Japan beyond the Tokyo airport like me. So I'd like to hear, and Rick, you've been there very recently, back in March.
Yeah, I was just there in March. And so we were there, we flew into Tokyo and then we kind of zipped around the country. You did the high-speed bullet train, which is 320 kilometers an hour. I've never been on something moving on land that fast. It was bloody believable. Sorry, my phone's ringing here.
Every time you hear that thing, it's ringing.
Oh, I'm a professional. I turned my phone off. Hello.
We should incorporate a fine if between the three of us. If anybody leaves their phone on.
Oh, you want to go to Japan?
Well, incorporate it's like a swear jar. If your phone goes off during the podcast, then somebody
screwed. I'm sorry, I should have had that off.
Somebody has to buy at Chili's or something on the way out.
All right, done. I'm the first villain.
So the speed train, where does it go specifically in Japan?
Well, you can go from Tokyo down to Osaka. There's just various routes that you can take, but it's 320 kilometers an hour, which is unbelievably fast. So when you're sitting in this thing, you look out the window, and everything up close is obviously just a blur. When you get into an area where you can see further out, you can see things, but it's coming like boom, like just unbelievably fast. 320 kilometers an hour on land is fast and unbelievably comfortable. No noise. I think they use the magnetic rails or something, and it's that technology. But it's just a really really neat experience. And we were on it for about an hour and a half from Tokyo down to Osaka.
Hour and a half. So that's roughly 500 kilometers away, I suppose, if
About
my
that.
math is
Yeah.
is even close.
Very impressive if it is. We're not checking because that's not what we do. But what about the high-speed train between Edmonton and Calgary? How long would that take at 320? Like a
15 minutes.
nanosecond. Yeah, we need that.
Probably the 320, it's about that many kilometers, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
about that. It's probably, yeah, it'd take an hour, right?
An hour. Well, the reason we're talking about Japan here today, and Jackie Rae, will get to some of your stories too, because you were there not so much for travel excursions and that sort
Nope.
of thing, but you were competing in curling. So I'd like to hear more about that. But the reason we're talking about Japan today is because of the 11-day Japan cruise coming up in 2027. It's a March cruise for just about a couple of weeks, and it's available at networktravel.ca. Not only does it start and end in Tokyo? Am I reading the arrows correctly?
You are. We chose this because we basically circle the inlets all the way around the country, but we're also including on this cruise, we're going into South Korea as well, which is really popular. So swear to God. I got it on mute. You know what? I'm just gonna unplug the fucking thing.
Leave that in, please.
So, okay, here we go. Yeah, so
We're
we leave on the cruise from Tokyo, somewhat circle the inlets around the country, and then we go over to South Korea, and then all the way back around up to back to Tokyo. So when I was there in March, what we did is we flew into Tokyo, and we did motor coach, and we did some experiences on the high speed train, of course, the bullet train, and then kind of worked our way around, and then took the bullet train back again. But we thought this might be a really good idea. I'm just looking at my other screen. Might be a really good idea to try something like this opposed to the motor coach, because you unpack once on the ship. It's 11 nights on Princess Cruise Lines. You unpack once, and then you get the experience, opposed to the on the coach, off the coach, out in the morning, unpacking, that kind of thing. It's a bit rushed. There's a lot of humans in Japan, so it can get extremely busy and sometimes difficult to move groups around.
That's one of the things I was going to ask about. Is the ship that you were going on is the Sapphire Princess? Now, is that one of the large cruise ships, or is this more the size of like a Gauguin ship that we were talking about with the South Pacific trip that's happening, that Jackie Rae and you are going on, or is it a mid-sized ship? I just think because of the amount of people in the country of Japan, this might be just an ideal way to do it, because then you're just on the ship, and then you're in for your excursions, and then you're back on the ship, and it's kind of gives you an opportunity to breathe in, breathe out, sort of thing.
Exactly, and that's honestly that's what I found when we were there last time. It was a really nice experience. We did a lot, but we found coming on after 5 or 6 days, we found that people were starting to get tired, because there's a lot of moving around. So I think on this is going to be, I think, a lot more comfortable. And like you said, once you get back on the ship after doing your excursions and those types of things, you get back on the ship, and then you can relax, have a drink, sit on the top deck, and kind of enjoy the rest of your day. Sometimes when you go back to a hotel, you're kind of stuck in the room and you don't feel like going out. So there's I think some of the benefits to this. Not only that, when you're on a cruise ship like this, to answer your question, it's not like the one in the Paul Gauguin. It's a larger ocean liner, so it's quite a bit larger than the Paul Gauguin. But having said that, it'll have all of the amenities that a larger cruise ship has. It's not like Royal Caribbean where they have 17 stories and 6,000 people. It's not that big. So
Exactly what it doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those monster cruises. And for something like this, it's a cruise of Japan, the country of Japan, and then the stop in South Korea. Now, how much different is this kind of, like, aside from the size of the ship, which may hold 1,500 to 2,000, like you estimated? Aside from that, what is the difference between a Caribbean cruise or something like that compared to an Alaskan cruise? And is an Alaskan cruise similar to this Japanese cruise just because it's going to places that aren't necessarily tropical?
yeah, so it would be, I guess it would probably be a good way of putting it as close to or similar to something that you would experience in Alaska. I think that the benefit of doing something like this too on the cruise is that they would offer, some of the traditional foods from Japan on the ship. So you're still getting that experience, but then of course you do that when you get off the ship as well. So the thing is, it's not like your typical off into the Caribbean or Mexico on a cruise type thing. It's more like the experience that you would have in the Mediterranean, or like you said, maybe up to Alaska or something.
I wouldn't imagine that there's going to be speedo competitions and belly flop competitions and whatnot on the.
Rick leads them, doesn't matter what trip we're on, African safaris, he does it all. Yeah, he
Yeah,
covers that all up.
I won a prize actually last time I did. Yeah.
Now boarding all travelers in Zone 1.
The Zone 1 podcast is brought to you by networktravel.ca. Go to the website today to find out more about the trip on the private yacht in Croatia, the San Diego baseball getaway in 2026, the East Africa safari coming up in March of 2026, and the Japan in Bloom cruise in 2027. All this and more at networktravel.ca.
I have a girlfriend of mine. The first time she went to Japan, she's a street performer, stilt walker, and she was hired by a festival down there. And she told the story. She loves sushi, so she goes for some sushi, and she's at the sort of like sushi bar, and she points at what she wants, and he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So he takes it, gets it out of the tank, puts it on the cutting board in front of him, goes hutch, 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 and puts it on her plate. And she says the thing was still pulsing. That's how fresh the sushi is.
Wow.
I
That
know.
is. How are you, Jackie Rae? You've been to Japan. How are you with how long were you there, and how were you with the food?
I was awesome with the food. Well, we flew into Tokyo, then had to hop on a bus because we were curling in Karazawa. So that was a site where when the Olympics were held back in, oh my goodness, was that the Nagano Olympics, I guess? Yeah, because that's where Sandra Schmirler won. So we were at the curling rink playing, and we were just mentoring some of the curlers there. So that's what I went for, was to help mentor. But we had, we had all the traditional foods. Absolutely loved. I'm very adventurous when it comes to that. The one thing I didn't try till the last day was the breakfast, and that's the one where it's the sticky rice, and then you just crack the egg on it, and there's your breakfast, a raw egg.
A raw egg on sticky rice.
Yeah, 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 and so I put a little soya sauce in there, and I had it. Do I need to have it again? No, but I did it,
Ah,
and I lived.
Sounds like the name of a hippy dippy morning show on on new wave radio station.
It was
Raw egg.
amazing, though. The people are so wonderful, and they're so respectful and just kind. I was so impressed with the people of Japan.
yeah, everyone's super polite for sure. Sorry,
Mhm.
Gary.
And Jackie Rae, you're a tallish woman. You probably stuck out a little bit in
I
Japan.
did, yes, especially in Karazawa, because you're not in one of the bigger cities. It's one of the smaller areas, more resort town. That's where people go from Tokyo in the heat of the summer. Is they'll go to this area, and oh yeah, I definitely got the looks. Yes, and you know what? Too, South Korea is part of this. I worked the Olympics in 2018 in. Pyeongchang, and I see Busan is on the list. Do you know what you're doing in Busan when you get to South Korea?
No.
Well, aren't you a great tour guide?
Hey, Terry, could you
I
take this part out?
No, I think that's awesome. No, we're not cutting that out. But all I can say is, it seemed to me when I worked with all of the South Koreans at those Olympics and Paralympics, they talked a lot about Busan. And that's more, it was the resort place to go. So it seems like everybody talked about it. So I'm really intrigued to see what it's like when you go there.
Okay, yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah, I'll do some research, but this doesn't happen until 2027. What's interesting, we launched this about 3 weeks ago, and we've got over 40 people already. So it's so popular. 2026 is pretty much sold out now. You can't even get near it. It's so busy. But it is funny story when we were there too. They set us up with you sit at a table and you've got a little cooker and you got soup and you got all these dishes with covers on them and all kinds of different things happening. So I opened this dish that I had, and it looked like crispy chicken, and I go, wow, this looks really good. So I sawed off a piece, put it in my mouth, and it was like full of bones. And I go like, oh my god! I said, so this guy comes by me and he goes, how'd you like the fish head? And I go, oh, I didn't get a fish head. he goes, he
I
goes,
got the neck.
that's the fish head right there. He said, where'd the eye go? And I go, well, geez, there's no eye in mine. Anyways, so I was eating this crispy fish head, and I don't know where the meat was because it was freaking stuffed with bones. Obviously, it was a fish head. So, but anyway, so if you like raw herring and some of these pickled herring, and if you normally like sardines and that kind of stuff, that's very traditional. So you actually see a lot of that, but I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. So I mean, all the sushi and that type of thing, and it was fantastic. But I mean, it was funny. I'm eating this fish head. I didn't even know it was a fish head, but it was.
That's the fun part about traveling, though. Sometimes you don't know what the heck you're eating, and sometimes it's probably good that way.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as I would love to see the country of Japan and see the people immerse in the culture and everything and I mean, it goes back thousands of years to some of the dynasties and whatnot, and then go to South Korea. I think the thing that would have me as trepidatious as anything else would be the food, because I'm not a sushi guy. So I would be the guy looking for the good old hamburger or hot dog, but even the hot dog is hit and miss when you get outside of North America, isn't it?
Funny part, we were down in Kobe, and everyone knows about Kobe beef, right? So Terry, like this ties in with your, hamburgers and probably steaks, right? But they're so expensive, like $150 for like a dinner, a Kobe beef dinner, steak dinner. And I didn't realize, nobody really told us until I got back. My next door neighbor, he's a Japanese couple, and he was telling me, he goes, you know where Kobe beef comes from? And I go, Japan, right? And he goes, well, when you're on the high-speed train, you're out in the countryside. Did you see any beef farms, cattle farms, anything? Did you see a cow? Did you at least see a cow? I go, geez, I don't know, come to think about it. No, I have never seen one cow the whole time I was there. And he goes, because a lot of the beef comes out of Alberta, and
Yep.
it's specially fed and looked after. It's prepped, and then the meat is shipped to Kobe.
And it's Kobeized, or like, what?
That's it.
Yes, they must put spices on it or something.
Alberta Kobe. Yeah.
Alberta Kobe, and I had no idea. Like, we're eating Alberta beef in Kobe.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the process of Kobe-ing or Kobe-nation or whatever the process is called.
Do you like the hot pot stuff, Tara? Like the where you're boiling water and you put some food in and vegetables and
stew?
well, it's like it's a broth, but but they do that as well.
Yeah.
So that might crank your tractor. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I like pork. I like chicken. It's not all full of bones and stuff, and I like beef. So those are, the three basically the protein staples that I look for. I'm just not super adventurous when it comes to a seafood sort of thing, especially raw. It's one of those things where I would probably order something, try it, and if I liked it, I'd finish it. If I didn't, I would go hungry. I would just, try and figure out, maybe wait until my sticky rice and egg the next morning.
I think give it a shot. I think that's it's worth a shot. Like
I
I
think you
love
have to.
sashimi and
If you're gonna save and spend the money on the experience, you probably have to, so that you can be there. This goes back to what we were talking about in one of our first couple of episodes. It's one thing saying that you've been to Mexico, but if you've just been to an all-inclusive resort, then yes, you've been to Mexico, but you haven't experienced this. If you go to Japan and you stop in Toba and Kochi and Nagasaki and all the places, and you have the opportunity to be immersed in the culture, then you can say you've been to Japan. I mean, I don't know what
Mhm.
they have for all-inclusive resorts in Kobe or Matsuyama. I would imagine the all-inclusive Matsuyama resort is probably a golf resort, isn't it?
Yeah, no
Yeah, it's
kidding.
gotta be. Golf's expensive there. Holy.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, super expensive. Well, because they don't have a lot of land, and they've got, what, 132 million people on that island, those islands, the main island of Japan. So it's a lot of people.
Reluctantly.
Hi, this is Terry Evans, hoping you'll join me for the Reluctantly Podcast. ReluctantlyPodcast.com, with guests like Tom Cochran, Brian Johnson from AC/DC, Brian Baumler, and Kevin Lowe, formerly with the Edmonton Oilers. Also Darby Mills, Lee Aaron, Haley Benedict, and more. ReluctantlyPodcast.com.
Reluctantly.
Are you at cherry blossom time? Is that when you're going in 2027?
Yeah, well, theoretically, I mean, like, as things happen nowadays, nobody knows, because there's really 1 week of cherry blossom season that you could miss one way or the other. And it depends on if it's an early spring or a late spring, that kind of thing. So because the cruise starts in the north up in Tokyo, we work our way down south. Chances are we're going to be there a little bit early, but in the south, you get cherry blossom seasons obviously a little earlier. So hopefully we're going to catch it. And I was there in March, and we did catch it, because we thought we were going to miss it, but fortunately it was good. And it's funny too, because then they say if we have heavy rains, it happens maybe for a day or two, and then all the rain washes the blossoms off the trees, and it's over. So it can happen really quick. So
Well, imagine you go all that way just to see the cherry blossoms, and that's why you're putting a caveat on, so your people that travel with you don't yell at you, "Where are the cherry blossoms? I paid all this money for cherry
okay,
blossoms."
so look, this is not just a hat rack. If you look at our website, it says flower blooming season.
Flower blooming. It'd be like, somebody coming over here to be or Alberta to see the mountains. Hey, you're in Banff or you're in Jasper, and then it's cloudy, and you're here for a week and you don't see the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
they phone their travel agent and go, "What?"
They probably do. I swear, they probably do. And when we went to Mount Fuji, and then I was thinking, oh God, we're not going to see Mount Fuji because it was cloudy that day. So we didn't see Mount Fuji until a little bit later on, and it started to clear. And we saw it several times on the way back. Again, we saw it. It was beautiful sunny day, and we were on the high speed train, and this Mount Fuji was like, it's like, oh, jeez, gone.
Anybody who's doing a travel pamphlet for BC and Alberta, they probably never put a clear view of Mount Robson in your pamphlet, because
Yeah, true.
that's few and far between too. But I'm just looking at networktravel.ca, talking about the Sapphire Princess Cruise, timed perfectly for the beginning of Japan's breathtaking cherry blossom season in the south. So that kind of quantifies just exactly what you said. I mean, it's a large distance between Tokyo and Nagasaki and Kagoshima. So there is differing sort of times of the season based on warmth and whatnot. You could be going to one area and see buds on the trees, and then the next area you stop in, you might be walking on all of the cherry blossom petals that have been washed off the trees because of a little bit of rain.
Yeah, and this time we were there, and that's what happened. It started to pour the next day, and we were in the same area, and then everything, all these trees, everything was just, the ground was white with cherry blossoms. The trees were bare, just leaves. All the blossoms were gone. So it's true enough. Like, and I'm hoping, because we are going further south, we're gonna catch the cherry blossom season. So we'll cross our fingers. One of the really cool the temples are there's temples everywhere, and they're just absolutely incredible. And we go into this one area. It's narrow, and they have these little small deer, and these deer they give you these wafers to give to these deer in this park. So, and the deer are everywhere, and they'll come up to you and they'll bite you in the ass, actually. And they got little horns, and they bump into you and stuff because they want these little wafer treats. But what the funny part is throughout the years, I don't know who started this, but if you bow to the deer, he'll bow back, and then he gets his wafer. So these little deers are it's kind of a funny little place where these deers are always bowing.
That's really interesting. It sounds charming, and yes, the deer have probably come to expect it, and that's why they give you a little nudge and whatnot. It's probably not nearly as bad as Monkey Mountain in Thailand, where if you had a pocket full of food for the monkeys, they would come and tear your pants off trying to get at that food. The monkeys are a lot different than the deer, just nudging you with their nose trying to get the wafers.
Oh, yeah, monkeys, oh, yeah, though they're frightening, I agree.
Yeah, the monkeys in Thailand are terrible. Yeah.
So, Rick, well, first of all, Jackie Rae, we talked briefly about you being in Japan for curling. What cities did you go to again, or was it
I
just
just
the
did
one city?
Kurosawa, so
Okay.
we went from Tokyo and then, had to hop on the bus, went right to the curling venue, so that was my life.
Did you get a chance to explore much,
Oh,
or
we
was
did
it?
around there, definitely the temples there, and it's a beautiful resort town, as I mentioned, it's a really nice little community, and, oh, I had a massage. Hi! Jumped on my back and turned me into a pretzel. That was fun.
Ah,
Rick, you saying that you had been in Japan in March of this year and taking the bullet train and buses and so on from Tokyo down south. I'm just looking at the route, and I think it's really neat. You mentioned before going in between the islands so that you start. If we just followed the arrows, you start in Tokyo, go to Toba, then Kochi, then all the way around to South Korea, and then start making your way back. After the stop in Nagasaki, you then go in between the islands, which I think is really cool. And I don't know the topography or the geography of Japan, like off the back of my hand or anything like that, but I would imagine that it might have a similar feeling to traveling through the Gulf Islands in between Vancouver and Vancouver Island, just because you've probably got a whole bunch of little islands dotted in there. There may be other boat or ferry traffic. There might be, close proximity where you can see the land on either side. So it would be probably really interesting as you're traveling from Nagasaki up through the strait up to Kobe. Have you been to any of the cities that you're going to on this trip in your previous trips?
Koshi, Kobe, those are the two that are on this coming trip that I have been to before.
Okay.
So
So you kind of have an idea of what to expect from those, but the other places are going to be new experiences. I would imagine that the peace monuments in Nagasaki will also have some impact on the travelers as well because of the historical significance of that city.
yeah, there's well, and like you said too, World War II, there was so much history over there in Japan. I mean, no matter where you go, I mean, it's been affected by either the historical wars that they've had, or the earthquakes and the tsunamis and all of these things that we hear about.
It's a interesting country, and I, again, love the cruise part of it, because then you don't have to unpack and unpack or be on the bus at 8 a.m. and put your luggage out by 7 a.m. This is one where you can just really immerse yourself during the day and then, get back on the ship at night.
It seems unusual, perhaps, or maybe makes you cock your head a little bit because we're talking about something that you can book in 2027. But like you said on our last podcast, Rick, it's kind of like Costco. If you don't buy it now, it's going to be gone pretty quick, and who knows when it's going to be restocked. So it's an 11-day Japan cruise on the Princess Cruises Sapphire Princess. And it's all the details, all the information available at networktravel.ca. It's been terrific chatting Japan with you both.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, T.
This has been the Zone 1 podcast. For a premium travel experience, Rick MacSwain from networktravel.ca, Jackie Rae Greening. I'm Terry Evans. The Zone 1 podcast is part of the Reluctantly Podcast Network.